Winter is round the corner, and this is hardly the time to think of a country called Iceland. Well, believe it or not, the president of this quaint country flew all of 10 hours non-stop to New Delhi to build what he called the biggest bridge in history, a bridge of friendship. We bring you an interview with this very amiable leader. Welcome to Worldview India, Mr. President.
Thank you very much.
Why would the President of Iceland, with a large entourage, travel 10 hours non-stop from Reykjavik to New Delhi as his solitary destination?
Well, India, for us, is a very important country, and for me personally, a country which I have admired for a very long time. I first came here almost 20 years ago, so it was one of the missions of my presidency to build bridges between India and Iceland.
It'll be one huge bridge, sir.
It will be indeed, and I'm very happy that after my visit it will be a very strong bridge. For example, India, as you know, is the largest democracy on earth, but Iceland is the oldest democracy on earth. And I think it is very significant in the beginning of the 21st century, which we hope will be a century of democracy and human rights for all, that these two very significant democracies have decided to cooperate very strongly in the new century.
Mr. President, you said that India is the world's largest democracy, which it is, and you said you were the world's oldest democracy. Just now, a few months ago, the Prime Minister was in the United States of America, and I was with him, and there it was the incantation, the world's largest democracy and the world's oldest democracy. Now, have you resolved the dispute with the Americans?
Well, the Americans are surely not the oldest democracy, although they could be the most powerful democracies, because the parliament was founded in Iceland more than 1,000 years ago. But at that time also, the Icelandic Vikings discovered the American continent in the year 1000. So this year we have been celebrating together with the Americans the 1000th anniversary of the discovery of the Icelanders of America. But let me say to you, as a great friend of the United States, that I am very happy that President Clinton made this significant visit to India, and the Prime Minister of India has made a very important visit to the United States, because as a friend of India and a friend of the United States, I have for a long time wanted these two important democracies to cooperate together. And it will make it easier for us, because we are a long-term ally and friend of the United States, to create a strong link with India as well. And you must admit, it's a fantastic formula. The largest democracy, the most powerful democracy, and the oldest democracy.
You said you've been here 20 years ago. In fact, I gathered you've been here several times.
Yes, indeed.
Where were you? Where all have you been? In what capacity? What were you doing?
Well, I came here first in 1983 as a very young member of parliament with a few friends of mine to propose to Indira Gandhi that this was the time of the deep, deep frost of the Cold War, that a number of countries should take the initiative to try to bring the Soviet Union and the United States to talk to each other about nuclear issues and peace and disarmament. And this brought me to India a number of times, and in the following years I came here a number of times also to visit the prime ministers, have discussions with important Indian officials, and I have been very fortunate to have many friends in this great country, and my family has been a great admirer of India. My daughter, for example, when she was 18, stayed here for 3 months to do development work.
Have you been astonished, and has your delegation been astonished by the colossal ignorance that we have about Iceland?
Well, not really.
We think Iceland and Greenland are one and the same.
Oh, indeed, that is a misunderstanding that many people have.
And in fact, Greenland is bigger.
Greenland is bigger, but the difference is that Greenland is really covered with ice, but Iceland has a very limited ice and is really green. The name is, of course, misleading, but it has helped us in many ways. I can name, for example, my old friend Mulli de Ora, former member of parliament and mayor of Bombay, It took me many years to convince him that it was perfectly okay to come to Iceland. And then he came in the beginning of winter and was very happy to find that Iceland was warmer than London. Yes, indeed.
What would be strategic concerns of a country like Iceland? Were they different during the Cold War? And are you much more relaxed now, obviously?
Well, during the Cold War, we were sitting there in the North Atlantic, in the middle between the Soviet Union and the United States, with the nuclear submarines of both the superpowers swimming in the waters around our country. We tried to play our part as a member of NATO to work for peace, but we have never had any armed forces on our own. We have always been a very peaceful country, non-violent country. Our independence campaign, which lasted for 100 years, was fought without anybody being imprisoned and anybody being killed, which of course is very different from the Indian struggle and the sacrifices you made in this country. And also, to give an example of how peaceful and open Iceland is, that with all due respect to all the security that I have here in India, when I go back home, there is not a single policeman or security officer that guards me, because the whole nation is my guardian. Yes, indeed.
Really. What tangible results? I mean, have you signed, are you about to sign some agreements in IT sectors, in commerce, trade?
Well, the concrete results on the political side is first that we have agreed to have regular, profound contact and dialogue in the future. So these two important democracies can consolidate their views and share opinions. We have said also that we support India's permanent seat on the Security Council, because we think it is logical that this large country, but also the largest democracy in the world, should be a permanent member of the Security Council. But in addition, a number of Icelandic companies have consolidated agreements, some formal contracts involving cooperation in the pharmaceutical industries between Icelandic and Indian companies. And furthermore, in many high-tech information technology fields, agreements for cooperation have been strengthened.
On that note of optimism, sir, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And I wish you and the Indian people all the best in the future.